Hello, today's question from an IT leader is, how do I get my teams to be more creative? And I assume we take the assumption that this is around ideas and innovation rather than sticky back plastic.
Although we might talk about crepe paper, sticky back plastic and scissors at some stage in this video, beyond that, it's actually a really important question. There's the world that we're living in, we talk a lot about the kind of skills that people need, problem solving, complex troubleshooting, or those sort of things come up often. The fuel for us to solve some of these challenges comes from creativity and the ability of our teams to come forward with ideas or come through with ideas that we can try, we can experiment with. So a really important question. And certainly, if you've got a team of 10 people, it's going to be better to have the brains of 10 people than it ever is just the one, the leader that thinks they know it all.
Well, and actually, when you don't know the answer, what a great time to gather all your people together and say, let's come up with something, let's brainstorm it, let's not use think outside the box, but let's think differently, let's gather everyone's thinking in that one room.
Yeah, which is where it might come back to the sticky bag plastic. Would you agree that all of this comes down to environment?
Absolutely, yeah. If I think of some of the greatest ideas and the best engagement and the inclusion of everybody's minds is around when you create that safe space, when it's a great environment. I'm not talking about pizza and fluffy cushions or pool table. This is around, how do you create that really safe space for people to be able to talk and share their ideas without being shot down, without being saying, no, that's really rubbish. You want people to, and particularly the people that don't normally talk, they'll be thinking of stuff, they'll be in their head and there'll be lots of thoughts running around, and you want to be able to harness that and really engage it and bring those people together.
Completely. So, I, in terms of answering the question about how to help your team be more creative, I think we'll stay in that space of talking about environment, because fundamentally that's going to be it. Not unusually for us, or in our conversations, I'll certainly start with purpose. Insofar as creative about what? Make it clear or help discover with your teams what the destination might be. If you ask someone to make their car go faster, for example, that's one thing. We want a faster car. But if you tell a team of people that you want to double the speed of your car, immediately that sets a very different direction to your thought patterns. You can't just do small things. You have to be creative. So start definitely with why are you being what are you being innovative for? What's the why? Why are we trying to come up with ideas?
But I think the danger with that is then leaders start telling people and filling their space with their words, and you've got to be careful with that, because you want to be inspiring and you can facilitate and encourage those conversations, but you don't want to be dropping the words in that you want to hear, or because you're trying to define that destination.
No, you do have to have an outcome.
Yes.
And thank you for clarifying. It's the outcome that I'm talking about, making clear that people understand what they're trying to do. That's one of the first constraints that you kind of have to have. You can't win a game that has no rules. So that's certainly a place to start. While we're in the space of constraints, just talking about that, it is important to have some kind of constraints to help people's thinking too. Almost like the example I gave about doubling the speed of the car. If you know that the solution that you're doing has to, or your audience is in Europe, you've got a certain amount of time to do the thing, you've got a certain amount, all of those things, those constraints begin to release some creativity. The idea of, for me anyway, I found it very difficult if you just say, well, do anything.
Yeah, where do you start?
I'm sorry, where do I start? I need some solid ground to work on. Yeah. So some of those constraints, clarifying those can really help when you're talking about the why. So what else would we do? What else is important?
So I talked earlier about encouraging people for normally quite quiet, and you can there's this thing about reveal sticky flaws, which is really interesting. So 𝐜𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐿, I think that's how we pronounce it, but we'll pop a link in. So she talks about self-limiting beliefs and sabotages. So we can quite easily, when you're thinking about stuff, you'll quite easily sabotage your own thinking in your own mind without saying it. So it's much better to say things and help people get unstuck in that thinking, help people get unstuck in being able to communicate with the rest of the team. And this is where we go back to the inspiring, facilitating, encouraging and creating that safe space is really important, because you want to hear from everybody within that group, not just the people that will readily talk about things all the time, not just your extroverts or the people that are trying to sell stuff or the people that want to be heard. It's everyone in that team.
I think perhaps the key word in there, for me at least, was facilitation. That whether you're talking about the why constraints, outcomes, all of that is creating a space where people can begin to work. A good facilitator or a good facilitated session will make sure that all of the voices of different people are being heard. For a simple thing, of course, is just getting some post-it notes on a board privately and getting individuals to start writing to begin with. Certainly don't brainstorm verbally in a room. I suppose it can get you somewhere, but you risk exactly the stuff you're talking about. Quiet people don't say anything, or people will just follow everyone else. So techniques like that are very useful. Look up liberating structures, because there are hundreds of ideas in there for how to run or how to facilitate those kind of workshops. Oh, our cat's joined us as well, so excuse us for that. He does occasionally. So we've got some why, some outcomes, helping people with the kind of safe space. What else?
Feedback and learn from it. So you might be running your first session and you might come away with that and go, that didn't work, that's really frustrating, or didn't get the outcome. It doesn't matter. It's a bit like throwing spaghetti to a wall. You've got to keep pursuing it, because the more you practice it in that environment, the more you give feedback and encouragement to those people that don't normally talk, or encourage those ideas that actually, even if you don't think it's going to work, get the team to brainstorm it and keep feeding back, keep facilitating, keep encouraging, because the more you do that, the more it will become much more of a heartbeat. It will become much more practiced, and then people will talk much more fluidly.
And it emphasises the safe space. If you see people try things and it doesn't work, but that's okay, then that emphasises the safe space, and then you begin to build up those muscles, that habit for it. I would agree. Okay.
Great. So we hope that answers your question or gives you some ideas. We'll post a link to Rebecca's book below, but if you have any questions, Henry,
you got a question, Henry?
If you have any questions, do let us know. Thank you
very
very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.